Good afternoon, everyone, and happy Monday. Welcome to Nutmeg Sports on the HAN Network. With my friend Donald Eng, I'm Rob Adams. Happy to be back with you to get another week's couple of hockey games later today. Doubleheader action down at the Darien Ice Rink, and later in the week, a lot more to do as well. But we'll talk hockey here as we get things going. Donald, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Robert. How are you?
Doing well, and a good weekend?
It was an excellent weekend, yeah. Had some quality time. Took in a hockey game myself, and just relaxed. Got ready to come in and talk some sports on Monday.
Yeah, it's a weird weekend for sure. It's that in-between weekend where there really wasn't much professionally to watch. So for me, I had stayed far away from the Pro Bowl. I watched the NHL All-Star Game. I thought that was kind of interesting, but that conversation for another time. But yeah, it was good to kind of regroup.
It really was. I kind of liked it better when the NHL had, you want to go old school. We were talking before, East versus West. Go older than that. How about Campbell versus Wales? Go real old school with the NHL.
That's real old school. I like this new format that they used this weekend. It seemed to work well. But with all that said and done, we will talk about the hockey here in the state of Connecticut, and a terrific hockey game on Saturday. And it just goes to show, good old Murphy's Law can come up and bite you on occasion. Of course, the first time that Darien and New Canaan met this year in boys ice hockey, it was just an 8-0 thrashing by the Blue Wave of the Rams. So, of course, you'd figure it's going to happen again, right? Naturally. Not so much. Good game. Final score was 4-3. A late goal for Owen Collins. 40 seconds into the third was the difference. We've got highlights as well as interviews with both of the head coaches, Pat Gore and Mac Budd. Let's have a look.
Yeah, that was a real war, and I don't think I've seen anything like that between these two teams that are supposed to play like that against each other in a long time, right?
Yeah, I've been involved from both ends. I was at Darien for 3 years with Russ Foster, and I came over to New Canaan 6 years ago. Even the last couple of years, even 2 years ago when we beat Darien in the FCAC finals, it wasn't a true back and forth game. Darien dominated the parts that we took over. Today, for the first time in a couple of years, there was a true rivalry back and forth game where it wasn't that the winner really dominated or the loser didn't show up. At times they controlled the play, at times we controlled the play. It was typical back and forth Darien New Canaan hockey. And as a coach or even as a spectator, because a game like this, you don't really coach. Me and Mac become spectators, and we got a front row seat. Mm-hmm. So it can't be a game like that. Both teams left their heart and soul on the ice, and yeah, I'm happy with how my kids played. And a high school hockey game like that, I'll take any day.
And I imagine after beating Xavier soundly, and then what happened the last time you and Darien played, and how things look now, it's night and day, and you must be very encouraged because you're right there.
Yeah, very encouraged. 5 of our last 7 games we played very well. Even the couple games that we've lost in that span, 2 of them we deserved a better fate, and today was a flip of a coin. The very young team. A lot of kids that are in different roles. Even a kid like Tyler Hill, who's the go-to guy this year, didn't have that role last year, so he's in a different role as well. So, we had our lumps along the way, especially early, but the kids are starting to gain experience. They're starting to buy into the system, understand how hard you have to work to get rewarded for it. And, last couple of weeks, all you want at the end of the game is to have an opportunity to win. And today we're down a goal, missed an empty net missed net with our net empty by about that much. Or if the puck slides the other way, it's a tie game and we're still playing. So, from a coach, I'm happy with how they perform, and especially as a hockey fan down here. Greenwich has been good the last couple of years. Richfield's always good. St. Joe's is good. But it's always a little better when you're watching Darien New Canaan go at it like that. So hopefully we'll continue to build off it, and to get to where we want to get, we're going to have to go through Darien at some point. So hopefully we can have a repeat effect and just be 1 goal different in March.
And Pat, you've got a big Darien history. You were head of Darien youth hockey for a long time, weren't you?
Yeah, I'm still part of it, actually.
You're still part of it? But you were head of it for a while.
I'm coaching PBAs.
Okay.
I've coached all levels there, from 3-year-olds to 18-year-olds. You know, Darien, Duquesne hockey, they're very similar in a lot of ways. So, you know, I was pretty much grew up in Darien, even though I was born in Boston, grew up in Fairfield. I grew up playing in this rink, playing for Darien youth hockey. I've coached a lot of the kids on the other side. And, you know, I still enjoy it. And, you know, if my team can't win, I probably shouldn't say this on camera, but it's okay if Darien wins. They're probably my number 2 team.
Pat Gore Tong's job, it was very entertaining.
Yeah, it was a good game. I think that was more of a typical Duquesne and Darien game, certainly in the first game. And as I said to a lot of people, I think the first game was probably a little bit closer than it looked like. But we were ready for that kind of a game, so that wasn't a surprise to us. You know, I think Pat and his staff did a great job with those guys, and we knew that they would be playing a lot better at this point in the season. They have some very skilled younger players on that team, and we played them obviously early in the season. I think it was the first or second week, so you know, certainly they've gained that experience, and it's helped them a lot. And so we're not surprised it was that kind of game. They played a good game against us tonight, and they played with a lot of intensity. So we're certainly happy to come out with the W.
And how do you think you guys managed the W when they were coming at you? It was like a war.
Yeah, you know, it's a rivalry game, so you know, it's a good intensity. The crowd really, the support is fantastic from the people from the town and the students, and you know, from both towns and communities and schools, and I think that helps the boys. I mean, they love playing in that. We lost our poise a little bit there, and we took some silly penalties, so that certainly hurt us. I mean, I felt like at the beginning we were on a roll. I felt like we had good time of possession, and I was happy with the way we were playing, let's say. And then at some point we started to get into it and do some silly stuff. And you know, when you're a man down, I like our penalty kill. I think we have a lot of energy on the penalty kill, but nonetheless, you're doing a lot of running around, and it takes energy out of the team. So I felt like that was something certainly we need to clean up a little bit as we look ahead to finish out the season.
And what do you like what you saw today? What do you like about what you saw?
Well, what I saw again is that we've been playing well, and we haven't had a lot of situations where we go into a tight game in the third period. And I was happy with the way that our guys responded. You know, it was definitely a pressure situation. I would say that we were probably the favorites going into the game. So there you go into the third period, and it's a 3-3. It's a close game. It's a battle and a pretty even contest. So I was happy the way our guys responded in that situation. They got the job done, and a few gutty and gritty performances. So I was happy with that.
Thanks to both coaches, as always, so gracious in talking with our Steve Buno, and great work from this New Canaan team. I cannot figure them out.
I can't either, and I was thinking, was it experience, was it confidence, was it coaching? That did not look like the same Ram team.
No, it did not. I was getting texts from Dave Stewart saying how good it was, and I heard from Frank Granito as well. It was a good game, so good job by the Rams. I mean, they're still 4-9, 2-4 in the FCX, so they still have some work to do. Obviously, in Division I hockey, everybody gets into the states. They're in there, but are they going to be in the conference playoffs? They've got some work to do there.
And they could wind up in the States as like a 12, 13 seed, the proverbial seed no one wants to play. We call that the Princeton. That low seed
Princeton, that's a good one.
That could knock off anyone in the top 5. That remains to be seen, but certainly miles of improvement. And we said it at the beginning of the season that new coach, new team, they were going to be a work in progress, and things may be coming together for the Rams at the right time.
Could be. So as we look at the Rams, again, they're 2-4. St. Joe's at 2-2. Ridgefield 4-2. Darien 5-0, and that's just in the East Division alone. On the West Division side, they still have Staples Weston at 3-3, Greenwich at 4-0, and Fairfield the Co-op at 5-0. And of course, they use a point system as well, and you can throw all that in. So anybody that's above 4 points is above the New Canaan Rams right now. So a little bit of work to do to get into the playoffs, but they could certainly get in based on what I just pointed out there. They could be
Well, but the thing is, though, as they come down the stretch, they have winnable games on the schedule. They finish with Wilton, St. Joe's, then Norwalk, McMahon, West Hill, Stamford, then Xavier out of conference, Trinity, St. Joe. So they will have opportunities to add some wins to the ledger before the FCAC tournament begins.
I think that the Xavier game will be the one that is the toughest of that group, to be
That's
quite
the one
honest.
we're going to look at. Also, they play St. Joe's home and away 2 of their last 5 or so games. So, but definitely Xavier, a top 2 or 3 team in the state all year. That'll be the toughest test for the Rams the rest of the way.
So with all that in mind, they should be okay to make a playoff run into the FCAC as well, so they should be okay. The rest of the show, by the way, we're going to step into New Canaan Darien girls highlights from Friday in just a moment. We'll also give you the Athlete of the Week. We'll name last week's winner, and we'll give you the nominees for this week. And we'll also have an interview that Tim Murphy did from the Ridgefield Press. He speaks with the athletic director and soon-to-be former, as in retired, athletic director Carl Charles of Ridgefield High School. So all that and more as we roll on here on Nutmeg Sports. Let's go back to Friday night, and this seemed like it would be the better of the 2 games over the weekend, New Canaan and Darien and girls, but I think it's a coin toss. I think both games were pretty solid when all was said and done, but the girls game nonetheless very good. Don and I will come back after you look at the highlights. From the Darien Ice Rink, it is girls high school hockey on the HAN Network. Good evening, everyone, with Frank Granito, Chris Kalin. I'm Rob Adams.
Sarah Hill, good job staying with it, but almost slipped by on the slope roller back door.
Now into the right circle, and it bounces off Hill, and they score to take a 1-0 lead.
And it's just a quick shot, glove side, a little bit high. Unfortunately, Hill wasn't able to get the glove up quick enough to get a good hold of the puck, and it bounced right out into the net.
Is the shots on goal that, wild, or does it just seem that way? Score! A blast. This time it does count. 2-0 Blue Wave.
Darien with a lot of pressure so far in the first half of this period. Finally, they get the opportunity. They get an opening in the net, and they put it through.
Looks like Bevel down, bouncing around. Looked like for a moment Hill was sliding the other way, but was just able to get the stick back on it. Now the Rams, probably in need of a little something, not desperate yet. They get across the line, go into the right circle, work it out on net. Great save, but they score! Brooke Dean, a power play goal. It's 2-1.
Absolutely tremendous hustle and just sheer grit by Brooke Dean.
Face-off now into the Darien zone. They look for that empty net. Down it comes. Down comes a Blue Wave. She grabs it. She scores! Marissa Baker turns out the lights. It's 3-1 Darien. There is no question that the Blue Wave are still the best team in the state. I think they're still a hair better than New Canaan. But here's the thing, and somebody said this to me later on. In the past, when it came to this game, Don, New Canaan might have folded up their tent and went home down 2-0. They didn't. They got it to 2-1 on the Brooke Dean power play goal, and then they hung around and they peppered Darien goalie Emily Giannunzio for the balance of the afternoon until the Blue Wave could get the empty netter from Marissa Baker to really put the ribbon on things. This Rams team is really good. Now, can they get over the hump? Because they're clearly, in my mind, I'll be surprised if they don't play again,
right,
be it either in the FCAC or in the States. But I think these 2 teams are going to meet again. Can the Rams get past the Blue Wave?
Well, they're going to have 2 more chances, and it's almost like it goes in a series of steps. Like we said with New Canaan boys, they got blown out, and then they played a tough game yesterday or Saturday. It's the same thing with the New Canaan girls. It's like you just kind of get the sense that they just kind of keep getting a little bit better, a little bit more confidence. These are obviously the 2 best teams in the FCAC. Darien 11-0 in the conference. New Canaan 8-2. We will probably see them play again at least once, possibly twice. It's tough, and I would probably favor Darien in both games if they did end up meeting twice, but New Canaan is right there. They're not that far away.
I think you would have to give Darien the edge. And yes, there are other teams in the state, but for my money right now, from everything I've heard, Darien and New Canaan are the best 2. In the state, that is, not only the FCAC.
Right. I mean, some of the states out in the east and northern part of the state, it's hard to kind of get a grasp on them because each league plays sort of their own a SCIAC sanctioned sport. But, it's hard to imagine there's any team in the state better than Darien. New Canaan may be as good.
We will find out, of course, as we move through the balance of the schedule. Of course, we'll have the Girls FCAC Championship on the HAN Network as we get through this season, and still so much to do. Looking forward to all of that as we move along. In fact, I'm just double checking. On the 24th, we will have the girls ice hockey semifinals to go along in the FCAC, to go along with the championship game, which is Saturday the 27th at 12:50. We'll have it right here on the HAN Network, and maybe even more beyond that. With all that said and done, Don and I will take a break. We will come back and talk Athletes of the Week before we then check in with Carl Charles, the athletic director at Ridgefield High School. All that and more as we return on Nutmeg Sports right after this on the HAN Network.
Here at the Darien Sports Shop, we are very excited about our newly redesigned men's department. Gentlemen, if you're shopping for work, weekend, or wedding, we've got the latest styles and trends inside our spacious new department just for you. We have Vineyard Vines, Johnny O, Duckhead, Barber, and so much more. And you can even walk out of the store in the new Wolverine 1,000-mile men's boot. Conveniently located with free and easy parking at 1127 Post Road, Darien, Connecticut. Or shop us online at dariensport.com.
Well, there's still a bite out on the water. Most anglers have decided to stow the gear for the winter. Just because Mother Nature isn't cooperating doesn't mean you can't see the latest models of all your favorite gear. With 2 convenient locations, it couldn't be easier to get your fix of summer. Boater, beach bum, fisherman, or simply love the New England coast, this is a unique place to shop. The Dock Shop, 51 Tokenique Road, Darien, 609 Riverside Avenue, Westport, or on the web, dockshop.com.
I'm Kate Chaplinsky. Join us for Coffee Break, weekdays at 11 to get the latest Connecticut news, weather, high school sports, and more. News doesn't get any more local than on Coffee Break on the HAN Network.
You are watching the HAN Network, and you're not alone. Nearly 500,000 viewers enjoyed our broadcasts in the first 5 months. Advertise on the network that reaches Fairfield County, Connecticut's most engaged audience. Contact Jessica Murrin, Advertising Director, at 203-273-7312 or email jessica@han.network.
Welcome back to Nutmeg Sports right here on the HAN Network. All right, Don, let's get into it. Athletes of the Week from last week, and let us name some champions, first of all, before we head into the nominees for this week.
All right, well, on the boys' side, last week, your Athlete of the Week, Tyler Hill, New Canaan Rams ice hockey. Hill scored 4 goals as the Rams beat number 2 Xavier 5-1 at the Darien Ice Rink. The junior scored his first goal late in the first to give New Canaan a 2-1 lead. He then added 2 in the second and a shorthanded goal early in the third. Tyler Hill is your Athlete of the Week from last week. He garnered 51% of the votes to beat out Jake Fuss of Fairfield. So congratulations, Tyler.
On the female side, it was a little bit of a closer race. 42% of the vote went to Brooke Dean of New Canaan Ice Hockey, who we saw get a power play goal back on Friday night against Darien. But the big winner, Shannon Grabowski of St. Joseph Basketball. Shannon Grabowski is your Athlete of the Week, and a good athlete as well. She has done an outstanding job of running things for that St. Joseph basketball team, and really 12 points to lead the Cadets in a 41-38 overtime win over Staples on January 21st, but converted a three-pointer with less than a minute remaining in regulation. That tied the game to force overtime. So Shannon Grabowski of St. Joseph, that is your female Athlete of the Week.
Old school three-pointer, too, the and one.
Yes.
Yeah, hit the free throw to send the game into overtime. Good job, Shannon.
3 the old-fashioned way. 52% of the vote for Shannon Grabowski. That leads us into this week. Don, lead us off.
Well, we're going to start off with wrestling. Jacob Camacho of Danbury is your first nominee on the boys' side. Camacho pinned Ward's Luke Bender in a minute 27 in the 113-pound class as the Hatters beat Fairfield Ward 37-27, January 27th. A.J.
Jerome of Norwalk Basketball had a double-double as the Bears topped Greenwich 70-59 on January 29. 17 points, 13 boards. A.J. Jerome of Norwalk.
Matt Conti of West Hill Wrestling is your next nominee. Won the 138-pound weight bracket at the Ridgefield Challenge Tournament on Saturday, beating Ridgefield's Colin Storm.
Nick Rendy of Wilton Wrestling is up next. The sophomore became only the third Wilton wrestler to ever win the annual Ridgefield Challenge Wrestling Tournament, a 6-5 decision over Noah Young of Coventry, Rhode Island on Saturday. He's 25-1 on the year.
New Canaan swimmer Edward Rudman, your next nominee. The junior had 4 wins as the Rams knocked off the Wilton Warriors 101-84 January 29th. He won 2 of his individual events.
Vashan Natal of West Hill basketball, 22 points. West Hill beat Staples 59-45 back on January 26th. He had 10 of the Vikings' 24 baskets, including a three-pointer. They're 7-4, 4-3.
Danbury basketball player Scott Nesbitt scored 27 points, including 3 threes, in the Hatters' 83-62 win over Fairfield. Danbury 10-1 overall.
Devontae Clark of Danbury track and field won titles in the 55-meter dash at 6:04 and the 300-meter run at 37.88 when the Hatters placed first in the FCAC Western Division Championships in Westport back on Saturday.
Wilton basketball player Drew Connolly, your next nominee. The junior guard scored 9 of his 10 points in the final 3:03 of the fourth to rally the Warriors past Trinity Catholic 54-49.
Obviously, Owen Collins of Darien had himself a big day. He got the rebound and put it into the net 40 seconds into the third as Darien edged New Canaan 3-2.
All right, to the girls we go. Your first nominee, Taylor Brown of Trumbull. Brown scored a career-high 22 points along with 8 rebounds in Trumbull's 70-64 win over Greenwich.
Deja Polk of Fairfield Ward basketball, a solid 50-25 on January 29th. 12 points, 8 assists, 6 steals. Fairfield Ward, by the way, 13-1, 10-0 in the FCAC.
Ludlow Falcon hoopster Alex McKinnon next led the Falcons with 17 points in a 44-28 win over New Canaan.
Emily Philippides of Greenwich Track and Field is up next, won the 300 and the 600 meter runs during the FCAC Western Division Championships. She took the 600 in 43.84 and the 1,000 in 141.47. Greenwich finished third in the standings.
I feel like this next nominee needs no introduction. Staples Track and Field star Hannah DeBalsey won 3 races during the FCAC's Western Division Championships Saturday. She finished the 1,600-meter run in 5:19.32, 7 seconds ahead of her closest competitor.
Now to Emily Giannunzio, the Darien goalie. She stopped 20 of 21 shots. The Blue Wave knock off New Canaan 3-1. And, of course, the only goal was that power play goal we talked about.
Greenwich gymnast Adnaris De Jesus, a sophomore, continued her season for the Greenwich High Gymnastics team, winning 2 more meets last week to improve to 9-0 on the season.
Later this week, we'll see Norwalk as they take on Brian McMahon, and Isaiah Knight of Norwalk basketball is one of the nominees. 23 points as Norwalk knocked off New Canaan 46-32. Knight filled the stat sheet, 11 rebounds, 2 blocks, and 2 assists. 19 points in a loss to Greenwich, by the way, on January 29th.
And your final nominee, Stamford center Alexa Kellner, the 6'1" sophomore, scored 17 points, grabbed 12 rebounds as the Knights beat Danbury 65-33. She also hit 3 three-pointers, so dual threat.
Get the voting done at HAN.network. Don and I will take a break. When we come back, we will wrap up the show with an interview Tim Murphy did with the athletic director at Ridgefield High School, Carl Charles, right after this on Nutmeg Sports on the HAN Network. Denali is your outdoor retail destination in the Westfield Trumbull Mall. For the last 21 years, we have carefully selected clothing, footwear, and gear from a variety of the best outdoor brands, such as the North Face, Patagonia, Vineyard Vines, UGG, Merrell, GoPro, New Balance, and many more. Our stores have a friendly, knowledgeable staff to help you with all of your running, hiking, and cold weather needs, and in discovering all things outdoorsy and awesome. Visit us in the Westfield Trumbull Mall or online at denalioutdoor.com.
When you experience a sports injury, you want to get better and fast. Coastal Ortho Express gives you direct access to orthopedic care quickly. Their physicians are fellowship trained in sports medicine at world-class universities and are also team doctors for area football teams. For specialized personal care of sports injuries, go to Coastal Ortho Express. Open Monday through Saturday in the iPark building, 761 Main Avenue in Norwalk, or coastalorthoexpress.com. Coastal Orthopedics, keeping you on the move.
Do you do a lot of running around but get nowhere when you're buying a car? Visit Pamby Chrysler Jeep Dodge and Ram for the one-stop buying experience and stop spinning your wheels.
It's the new year. The to-do list is long and it's easy to feel pulled in many directions at once. Your professional personal shoppers at Walter Stewart's are ready to check groceries off your list by shopping for you. Save extra time this year and spend it doing more important things. Great food and wine.
Coach. I'm a television presenter, and I want you to love fishing as much as I do. Tune into Yankee Fisherman, Thursdays at 1 on the HAN Network. It's like going to the tackle shop without leaving your office.
Welcome back. Don't forget Yankee Fisherman with John Kovac later this week here on the HAN Network. But Don, we're going to watch some footage of an interview that Tim Murphy did. Tim, of course, is the sports editor in Ridgefield. He interviewed the now outgoing athletic director, Carl Charles. And look, we've still got him around for a couple more months. He's been talking about doing it for a few years, and you'll hear the interview with Murph. But Carl's a great guy, and sorry to see him go, but of course, best wishes.
You know, he really is a great guy. I only met him once, but he just in the 5 minutes I got to speak to him, just great guy, really cares about the kids, and by the way, could not have been more accommodating for the HAN Network there. He just made everything easy for us to do.
He has been so good to the HAN Network. Every time we've gone out there in any way, shape, or form, gives us anything we need, and I've worked with him in one form or another dating back many years to when he was a basketball coach at Ridgefield High School. So certainly best of luck to our friend Carl Charles. But Murph interviewed him. You can see the interview when it hits theridgefieldpress.com. It will be on the website there, the full interview. This is the edited version. We had to trim it down a little bit due to time constraints, but that's how we'll wrap up Nutmeg Sports for today, as you'll hear Murph and Carl Charles. For Donald Eng, AJ Simonowski, Eric Gendron, our entire crew, I'm Rob Adams. Hockey later today, right here on the HAN Network, beginning at 6. Here's the interview.
Tim Murphy here with Carl Charles, the athletic director of Ridgefield High School, who recently announced he'll be retiring at the end of the school year in June. Carl, thanks for joining us.
Oh, thanks for being here, Tim. It's been a pleasure to work with you for the past 10 years.
And so we talked on the phone a little bit about your reasons, and you said it wasn't spur of the moment. You had been considering this for a while.
Yeah, no, honestly, I had my plan all along. I knew last year that it would be one more year, and I made the appropriate people aware of it from the very beginning, because Ridgefield has been great to me, so I wanted to make sure that they had ample opportunity to get somebody of quality for this position.
Right, and you said with a new superintendent starting too.
And with a new superintendent here, I thought it was important. It made for my 10th year, and also I think it would help her in her transition into Ridgefield. She has so many things on her plate, and to have to worry about hiring a new AD would be really difficult.
Right. So you were in Weston and Mass. How would you contrast your Ridgefield experience?
Honestly, Weston and Ridgefield are very similar. They're both great communities, both great educational towns where the sports program was a key component to both communities. I think the other thing that I saw, a huge parallel between Weston and Ridgefield, was the parent support, the community support for the sports program. And I had great support when I was at Weston. I had great support here. I've met so many wonderful people over my time that it has really, it's enriched me as a person for all the experiences that I've been exposed to and all the different people that I've met. Right. I've also worked for so many different administrators over the years, in my 31 years, and you learn something from each one of them, and obviously some are better than others, but part of that is growing and becoming better. When I first took the job as an AD in Weston, I was a total rookie. I'd never done it before, so I had to kind of grow into it.
Right.
And I'll never forget, I went to this this conference, and it was interesting because they said there's two types of ADs. One, you can be a manager and you just take care of the daily nuts and bolts, or two, you can be a leader and a visionary and really immerse yourself into the job and really try to build a great sports program. And I thought about that speaker for a long time, and I said, wow, I don't want to be known as a manager.
Right.
I want to be remembered as a leader. So that was kind of my driving force all those years.
Right. Kind of set your mindset there.
Yeah.
How do you think the role's changed since you started?
The role is, I think what's really changed with the role is the advent of turf, lights, school spirit, crowd control. I think those are the big changes that I see. The scope of the program has changed over my 31 years, where more sports have been added, especially from the female perspective. There's a nice balance now between male and female sports. But I think, with turf, you of rescheduling events because of weather. Maintenance, the field's ruined, it's raining, your field shot. You don't have to worry about that anymore. I mean, scheduling's still a component, but not as bad. And then obviously with lights, now it's stretched your practice schedule. It's schedule, so you're playing evening games so that parents can see games, the community can see games. And I think along with that, now, it's become body, school spirit, the fan base. Trying to manage that is probably the toughest part of the job because, sometimes people get carried away. And I think our role here is to try to promote really positive school spirit. I think the kids have to understand that when you have a huge student section, noise magnification and the support of the students is really helpful to us as a home field advantage or a home court advantage. You don't need to, I'd like that to be remembered to be classy and respectful. Sure. Is what I like to see. Huge volume of noise and support, but try to be classy and respectful at all times.
Do you feel like it seems like high school sports have gotten, from my viewpoint, good and bad, more serious, probably since you started. There's more emphasis put on it, and have you noticed a change in that? I mean, because you're still part of the academic program, and it shouldn't all be about wins and losses. But
no, and I think that's the one thing we have to keep reminding ourselves always about is that we are an extension of the academic day. It's funded by the Board of Education, just the way academics is funded. And therefore, we have to be an extension of the academic day, and academics comes first. So we always say to the coaches and to the athletes, you're a student first, school comes first, sports comes second. And we try to live by that philosophy, and we again decisions, you try to manage your decisions around that philosophy. You as best you can, you try not to interrupt the school day as much as you can with early dismissals and things like that, but sometimes they're unavoidable. But I think overall there is a respect for that school is the primary reason. Sports is going to come to an end for all of us at some point in our lives, and it's the lessons that we learn, the character that we build, the responsibility. Those are the things that have life value. That's what you want to take out of your sports program.
How do you deal with, I'm sure you did, complaints from parents about, my son or daughter's not playing enough, or the coach, should be fired?
I think honestly, that's one area that I think I've really improved at as an AD over time, because in the beginning when you're starting out, you have a tendency to be defensive, and you just want to support the coach no matter what. And I think I've learned a tremendous amount from my past experiences, and I would say the first thing you have to do is be a really good listener. And if you're a really good listener and just listen to what the problem is from their perspective, okay, first of all, that shows them respect, that you took the time to hear them out, see what it is, and then you've got to go and be thorough. You've got to investigate. Now, sometimes I may have information about the problem that I don't even need to really do a thorough look at it. But most of the time, I've always taken a thorough look at the situation and try to see both sides of the coin. What's going on here from the coach perspective, what's going on from the parent perspective. Somewhere in the middle is reality. And what we do, when our coaches need support, and I'll provide that support. At the same token, sometimes our coaches may be wrong, and that's where mentoring from my perspective comes into play. I need to be a good mentor for my coaches, and I think if you talk to the coaches, they would say that I am a good mentor for them. And you can do that because you've coached. I've coached for 37 years. I know the problems they have. and it makes it easier for me to deal with them. But I think fairness, being respectful, just being a really good listener, and showing them that you took the time to analyze it, come back to them, respond. What are we going to do in this situation? How are we going to handle it? And most of the time, I got to be honest with you, Tim, they work out. And not too many people walk away unhappy. I think we always find the right answers. And honestly, it's my faith. I have a strong faith, and you just have to be fair. That's going to be the tough part. I got to find myself. I got to be selective. I got to find myself. Still, Tim.
No.
I've got to move on to another chapter.
Okay. Have you thought about that?
I just want to be selective, and I got a lot of passion in me. I don't know, maybe you'll see me coaching somewhere again. I had mentioned, possibly I would be interested in going to a college situation and maybe being a part-time AD. Give me a piece of the program that you need help with.
Okay.
So we'll see, if the right, I'm sure something will come, something will come across my path that will intrigue me. I love challenges, so I never back away from a challenge. I think all the teams that I've ever coached, I inherited, teams that weren't winning, and my job was to make them into winners. And you try to just, every program that you work with, you just try to make it better than the day you got here. And I feel good that I think I can say that comfortably, that I've tried to make this place better from the day I got in here.
So it seems like you're going to stay involved in athletics. You're not going to be home watching Judge Judy all day.
No, no way will I be watching Judge Judy. But no, you know what it is? I thought about that, and I had a friend of mine offer me something in a totally different realm, and I started thinking about it. I said, sports is who I am. God gave me this set of skills because he wanted me to do something with it, and I just really feel like, some people go off in a total different area. I don't know, but I really would like to stay connected into the sports world. I get tremendous pleasure and enjoyment out of being involved, and I really am passionate about it, and I love it. I think I have a lot to offer, so hopefully some opportunity will be out there that will intrigue me, and whatever. And I think I'm also going to volunteer my time to, I want to pick out a community group that needs help, maybe the homeless, maybe it's a shelter in Bridgeport, maybe there's a shelter in New Haven. I have a couple of friends there that need some help, and I'd like to make that part of my final chapter as well too.
We probably haven't looked ahead this far, but that June 30th is your last day.
Yeah.
What do you think when you leave this room for the last time?
I got to get it cleaned up. If we were to take this camera around this room, it's a little on the messy side. But
we'll keep a stationary shot.
Yeah, but no, I've got to get it cleaned up. And
what do you think you'll be going through your head that last?
You know what? I have a lifetime of great memories, and obviously you're going to miss that, but I don't really have regrets, Tim, because I think I can walk out the door and say I've done the best I can.
Right. Good. Well, that's Tim Murphy with Carl Charles, and thank you for your time on the HAN Network.
Thank you very much.
We'll be seeing you
Thank you very
around
much,
the rest
Tim.
of the school year.
Thank you for everything.